Emily Kass, Opera Philadelphia's Scholar in Residence, and it is my pleasure today to introduce you to Unholy Wars. Unholy Wars is a contemporary work that is built out of old and new pieces. It combines song and operatic repertoire from the 17th and 18th centuries, written in Italy, with 21st century music inspired by Arabic folk idioms by Armenian-American composer Mary Kuyumjian to present a sound world that is both familiar and mysterious. The visual elements are likewise mixed. On-stage performers empty sand from buckets, letting it fall through their fingertips, simultaneously evoking desert landscapes and the passage of time. Behind them, images are projected, crashing waves, cityscapes, maps, and phantom bodies. The physical is combined with the virtual, the ancient with the modern, as Western ideas about the Middle East as a region are manipulated and rethought. In this short video, I will explain why and how these eclectic elements come together to make a statement that draws on history, even as it comments on our present. Unholy Wars was created by Lebanese-American tenor Karim Suleiman, who also sings in the piece. It premiered at the Spoleto Festival USA in the summer of 2022. With this piece, Suleiman brings new perspective to history, which is often viewed through a Western European lens to the detriment of other participants. Suleiman writes in his creator's note for the piece, and I quote, "Unholy Wars asks, what if we reframe it all? What happens to these works when they are embodied by the other? How are they changed when the subjects are given the chance to reclaim their stories? What if marginalized people are invited into this space to reshape it, to lay new borders, or perhaps remove them altogether? Can we lean into the discomfort of our collective history while forging a new path forward?" The opera asks these questions and gestures toward answers through a form of a pastiche, a patchwork of musical pieces that were not originally written to be performed together, but which are thoughtfully arranged to complement one another and to create a narrative of sorts. In the 17th century, pastiches were extremely common, and the form therefore seems quite natural for this 17th century musical material. The centerpiece of Unholy Wars is also the longest piece in this patchwork. Claudio Monteverdi's Il combattimento di Tancredi e Clorinda, or The Combat of Tancredi and Clorinda. Monteverdi, one of the earliest dabblers in the new genre of opera, wrote this piece in 1624. It takes as its subject a section of poet Torquato Tasso's 1581 epic La Gerusalemme Liberata, or The Liberation of Jerusalem. Tasso's poem dramatizes the First Crusade, a historical event which lasted 3 years and ended with the siege of Jerusalem in the year 1099. The word crusade is from a medieval Latin verb meaning marked with a cross. Crusaders were Christians from Western Europe whose goal was to take away land from Muslim rulers, especially the city of Jerusalem, which was an important location in both religious traditions. The Crusades were filled with bloody battles, which the Christians believed were part of their holy war. Il combattimento di Tancredi e Clorinda dramatizes a more intimate moment in the Crusades, hand-to-hand combat between Tancredi, the leader of Christian forces, and an unknown combatant from the other side. Tancredi fights his foe to the death. He removes his enemy's helmet and realizes that it is none other than Clorinda, his Muslim lover. He baptizes her as she dies and imagines her soul ascending into heaven. This musical drama, which lasts around 20 minutes, showcases first the swagger and passion of battle, and then the stillness that comes with the horror of recognition. Monteverdi utilizes what is called a concitato style in his orchestration, having the strings play repeated notes extremely quickly to emulate the sound effects of battle. Although there are only 2 roles in the drama, Tancredi and Clorinda, there are 3 singers. The third takes on the role of the narrator, who is by turns a passive observer and an invested participant in the action that unfolds. If you attended Opera Philadelphia's very first festival, you may remember this same piece being performed in the Philadelphia Art Museum, paired with Lembit Beecher's newly written companion piece, I Have No Stories to Tell You. In Unholy Wars, a variety of other shorter pieces for solo voices and ensemble surround the central performance of Il Combattimento. These pieces are for the most part written by Monteverdi and his contemporaries, Giulio Caccini and Luca Marenzio, although the famous aria Lascia ch'io pianga by Handel is the later exception. Some of these pieces reference the East and the Orient in their texts, showcasing the fascination that many Europeans had in the 17th century and beyond for the sights, smells, sounds, and bodies that the idea of the Middle East conjured up in their minds. This fascination with the East is sometimes called orientalism or exoticism. Some of these Orientalist and exoticist ideas were based in the knowledge gained from wartime travels and peaceful trade, but most of them were embellished by the fantasies of those drawn to the idea of the exotic other. A few of the musical works do not contain overt references to the East in their text, but Suleiman has recognized commonalities between features of this vocal music from the Italian Baroque and Middle Eastern musical traditions. For example, the opening piece, Monteverdi's Gloria Patri from his Vespers of 1610, opens with a highly ornamented, chromatically inflected duet between two tenors that Suleiman says reminded him of the Islamic call to prayer. Middle Eastern influence on European music of the 17th century through both peaceful and violent encounters has been documented in history books, but Suleiman's performance of this piece, with the help of the technology, he sings both parts in the tenor duet, is a living, breathing illustration of this phenomenon. Mary Kuyun Jeon's newly composed music ties the different parts of the pastiche together, making the entire piece satisfyingly cohesive. Besides the three singers, tenor Karim Suleiman, soprano Raha Mirzadegan, and bass baritone John Taylor Ward, the dancer Coral Dolphin enriches the movement on stage, interacting with the singers and at times seeming to embody various versions of what the East could mean. Unholy Wars is a multi-layered work, exploring complex ideas about history and identity and blurring the lines between past and present, East and West. It does not shy away from addressing the harm created by centuries of strife, but where many works have confronted this history with violent imagery and fierce accusations, this work makes its mark through visual and sonic beauty. We look forward to welcoming you to Unholy Wars.